Hold on, I haven't hit live. Something popped up.
It says live, and there's a counter. Are you sure?
It's just not live on Matt Campbell Art.
Oh, okay. We'll wait. Bye.
That's okay. So we're live on the other one. Oh man, it was like some of them are live, some of them aren't, and I was like, "Well, what does this pop up mean?" That's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Catchphrase
All right.
here.
Yeah. All right. Let's try this again. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the comic book showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Today, Destiny will choose 3 indie comics for us to review. We'll choose 1 to back and support, because in the end, there can be only one. We are back. It's Friday. I'm Matt Campbell, and with me, as always,
Smurf.
Beautiful Smurf.
The one and only.
The one and only. How are you doing this fine Friday, my friend?
Oh my God! The late hours between events, Series Fest, the hockey championship, which they're cramming so many games in an evening. I'm up, and they're all going into extra innings and periods. And normally I would be like, yeah, but like now I'm like, I can't take anymore. So the hours are long and treacherous, but I sally forth.
Well, the price you got to pay for being the king of geek.
Yes, king of all. But it's been interesting. So last week you were in Pueblo for MiniCon, which I heard was a very good success, great turnout, which is encouraging. I was at NostalgiaCon. Yeah. The turnout was less than encouraging, overpriced, and the normal shenanigans that you have come to expect from our shithole of a convention center. Still the worst convention center in the country. And
You're talking about the Denver one?
Oh yeah, those guys. I mean, if they can just make it harder on you, you bet your ass they're gonna do it. And I cannot stand the Colorado Convention Center. If you are coming to Colorado, find anywhere else to do a con than the convention center, because it's not worth it. I'm telling you that right now.
Hello, Josh. Welcome to this chaos here up with us on Friday.
Yes, I don't mean to get off on a rant.
No, that's okay. It's funny. When I was at the show this Friday, or last Saturday, Sunday, I'll get the days right, at the Pueblo MiniCon, they did theirs at the, I want to say the Pueblo Art Center or something like that. It was beautiful on the inside. It had these beautiful purples and magentas on the inside. They had really great neon track lighting. They had surround sound system, so there was music playing. It was a really nice venue. And then on top of that, Doug, the person who's, what do they call it? The host of the show?
Yeah, he's running.
I always forget the actual title of the person who runs it, but
showrunner.
He had some tents set up, like those little pop-up tents you normally would see on an outside venue. He had them on the inside, and so one of them was just for like a little mini green room for snacks and stuff for all the people. Thank you, Jenny. The Sangre de Cristo Arts and Conference Center was the name of it.
There you go.
And then in another one, he had like changing rooms for like cosplayers, like a quick little thing. So it was just like walk over there, grab some snacks, come back to your table. That was nice. It was a nice show. So thank you, Doug, for putting that on. Actually, and I was talking to some of the other vendors about how, at like the Denver Convention Center, how for years and years, there's a union at the docks, and you have all this heavy stuff to carry, and they're like, you can't use anything wheeled unless you pay us to do it for you. And so everyone I know has some sort of wheelbarrow or wagon or something to cart all their stuff in, and you can't use any of that. You just got to manually carry it for like half a mile over your table. So, I tell you, more and more, I'm really liking these smaller, medium-sized shows. And speaking of which, tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this today, be sure and go find a comic book shop to go support. These shops are doing everything they can to stay in business for us, to give us comics. They're struggling because of the diamond stuff and the tariff stuff. And so this is a day where it's going to be super busy. If you like free stuff, you can go get free comics. And there's some really cool ones this year, some really cool free comics this year. I will be at the Vault 35 comic shop in the Chapel Hills Mall here in Colorado Springs. And where will you be at tomorrow?
I actually will be with you at the Vault.
The same spot. That's right. So you see us both. Come see us both. You'll be.
Huh?
Yeah, you're going to be in full
regalia. I will be completely suited as a Colorado Ghostbuster. So come by. Yes. And I even cleaned my proton pack. And I got a little extra slimy, so I had to clean that off. But we will have. We will have a terror dog there, which is gorgeous. We call him Fluffy. He is a rescue. We have just weaned him off of children, so that's good. We'll also have the Eagle print as well that you can take a picture with us, with the car. So come out to Chapel Hills. And also part of the photo ops is going to be the crew of the Orville. Well, not the entire crew, but a portion of the crew. And very excited to hang out with everybody. And I mean, this one starts late, so you could actually hit a couple of shops and come to Vault 35 because doors are at 11. You don't have to be there as early.
But wait, there's more. There's also more? Cosplayers. There's also cosplayers. Cosplay Jenemy is going to be there. Christine Kiltasik is going to be there in awesome costumes. A costume that you're going to appreciate.
Ooh.
Yes. I actually put some work in on this costume with Jenny. And so I really hope you appreciate all the work that went into it. It was a challenging time. I've learned a lot about how difficult cosplaying could be.
It is. It has its challenges, but we won't have the full regalia for the labbing all of the set that we had at NostalgiaCon, but just some fun items because there's a lot of people that come and go for Free Comic Book Day. So take advantage of us in suits and cosplay.
Take advantage of us. Come take advantage of us.
Get photos, hang out, chat us up. We always love to share stories about the construction and what goes into the construction of our uniforms and costumes and everything. So, I mean, we had a lot of people. We had like basically a 12-foot table just loaded full of proton packs, and each one's different. Mine's more like relying on references from the very first Ghostbusters, but you can just see the progression of Ghostbusters 2, Frozen Empire, 2016, Spangler's pack. So there's a lot of variations, and everyone, builds their own to their specifications and what they like. So it's fun.
It is. Jenny says, bring that coffee cup with you tomorrow. Yes. There's a special reason for that. I don't want to give it away.
All right. I'll bring my mug. It better not get broken. I've already broken one, and it took me forever to replace it.
Lowell Lucas is with us. Hey, how's it going? It's going great. We're here to talk about indie comics today. Making comics is hard. Getting people to buy your comics is even harder. And that's what this show is about. Right now, Kickstarter is one of the top platforms for indie comic creators to get their work out into the world, get people backing it so that they can get the book made and get it directly to the consumer. This is great for indie comics because, especially with all the chaos going on with the comic shops and the distributors, we can get directly to them. We're starting to see some medium-size publishers, medium to large-size publishers using Kickstarter even.
Mhm.
And that means that there's a lot of competition on Kickstarter, which means we need to have presentations that really get people's attention. And one of the things that is challenging, especially for comic creators who've never done it before, is that you make a book and you're like, hey, here's my book. It's sort of like, when you're at a convention and you're like, hey, how's it going? Here's my book. Want to check it out? Want to buy it? Why? Why should I buy it? That's the thing that we got to work on these campaigns, is really giving people a reason, especially the new people, the people who aren't already your fans and followers. Of course, they're going to buy your book, but we want to get some new followers, right? John Westhoff is with us, rocking as always.
Nice. And I think if you can put together a decent Kickstarter campaign, I also think this rolls over into your table presentation. It makes you aware of what's going on around you. So, and Matt can attest to this. We go to a lot of conventions. There's Artist Alley, and you have these artists that are sitting behind their booths that don't sell anything, and then they complain that no one's buying my book, no one's talking to me, and yet they are sitting on the other side of the table, not engaging, not talking about the book, not showing any energy and enthusiasm. And I think if you can transfer your energy from your Kickstarter or vice versa, then I think you will see a much more uptick in your success, that you get more traffic, that people will pay attention. And that's what you want. You want new followers. You want to make the ones that are already following you happy. Just one big bubble of happiness. That's what we want.
One big bubble of happiness. You sound like a hippie, man.
One big bubble of happiness. Oh, there's something in that hippie.
Benjamin says he picked up some indie comics at a convention last week. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yep.
Also, by the way, if you guys are interested in getting this sticker, I know, John, you're a rocker. Right here, send me a private message with your address, and I'll throw it in an envelope and send that to you. But only if you do it, but by the end of the show. I'm not going to do that.
Now.
Act now.
Standing by.
You don't have to throw your address in the chat where everyone can see it. Send me a private message, which means you got to know me well enough to find how to private message me. It shouldn't be that hard.
No.
All right, but
message me. Everybody sends me.
Everybody knows who I am.
Everybody knows who I am. Do you know who I am? Yeah, don't worry about it.
All right. Let me see. Let me get my share screen here, and let's
get that wheel up. Let's see what we've got, because I've seen some things. Oh,
I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things.
Seen some things.
All right. So, this week we've got the Lightning Girl RSVP ESP. That's from our good friend Dirk Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Which has got like 3 days left. So if they don't get on the wheel, this is their last shot. So if you haven't checked it out, be sure and check that one out.
Yep.
By the way, they're at 220 backers on that campaign.
Dirk is a machine. I'm telling you,
he is a machine.
Boy, he's got the formula down. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Man,
yep.
Really...
We've also got Fumes Book 1. EgoRaven, Heir to the First Unicorn, by Daphne Legg. Thunderbeast 509. That's such a cool sounding name. A book called Small Town Dark. And lastly, Purity number 3. All right. So that's our lineup for this week. Can you guys guess which ones are going to get chosen by the wheel? Who knows? Who knows? Are we ready?
Yes, we are. Spin that wheel.
Right.
Let's fucking go.
There can be only one Highlander type situation. Behold, my wheel of
destiny.
Pitter patter, let's get at her.
Time to spin the wheel.
Time to spin the wheel. Let's do it. First up, I'd write this down, but like Sam is laying on my piece of paper.
Yep.
Looks like Thunderbeast 509. Congratulations, Thunderbeast. If you guys know the creator of Thunderbeast, which it says here is Leslie Miller, go let them know that they are about to be on the comic book showdown of Ultimate Destiny.
Oh,
All right, that brings us to the next one. Let's see who is the second one on our showdown. Number 2. Is it going to be EgoRaven, heir to the first unicorn? That's Daphne's book. Be sure and go tag her and let her know she's here. Or just tag her in the comment section of this video. That will also work, especially
she's
in.
She's not here already.
Yes. Actually, let me see if I can do that right now. Don't know how to do that and do this at the same time. And with a cat on my lap. Too many things going on. Cat's in the way.
Handicapped.
I'm handicapped. And last one is Purity, number 3. All right, so I'm going to remove some of these others. Lightning Girl. All right, so again, RSVP didn't make it. Dirk's page didn't make it. So be sure and go check that out. There's only 3 days to go. It's on Projects We Love. It's had a goal of 6,666. That's metal right there. I love it.
Metal right there.
So we had Purity, EgoRaven, and Thunderbeast, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Hello, Sam.
Thunderbeast 509, EgoRaven. Purity.
Sam says hello. Hi, buddy. Yep, you're not in the way at all, I promise.
Not at all.
Not at all. All right, let's see if I can share this tab. It'll play friendly with me. It says your browser's lost connection. Don't do that.
Ooh,
let's try again.
That's bad
open. Just doesn't like it when I switch tabs sometimes. There we go. All right, here we have Thunderbeast 509, issue 1. Says, have you ever loved someone so much that you would storm the very gates of heaven for them? Meet the man who did just that. I don't know. Apparently they're in heaven. He's like, I got to get you out of heaven.
I got to get you out of heaven. You've got it too soft up there. I'm coming to get you. Okay.
All right. This has an $8,000 goal. That's pretty lofty. That sounds like a creative team that needs to be paid.
Yep.
But they're only a couple days in. If they started with a 30-day campaign, they're only a couple days in, and they're at 2,143. So they're well on their way. That's making good traction in the first couple days.
So I've had conversations about this very topic of how do you dissect the costs for an indie artist, and this goes back and forth, and I'm on both sides of the coin. But in an indie comic book, I think, and this is my opinion, don't at me, fuckers, but I really honestly think that you're starting something from scratch. This is an indie comic. You're not proven. The comic's not proven. Nothing is proven. So to be charging in an outrageous rate is short-sighted. It's silly. You want the book to succeed, so make it succeed. And I honestly don't. I like the enthusiasm and $8,000 price tag, but could you do it for?
And then he was gone. Oh, there he is.
And then try and work less, but make it better. You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
Yes.
8,000 is a lofty goal. That is a lot for an indie comic, an unproven comic at this stage. Just saying. Anyway,
so I think that when it comes to pricing a book, generally I found that $5,000 is pretty close to the average, because especially if you're a writer and you're paying for a creative team, artist, colorist, all that stuff. if you're paying 8,000, maybe you're paying for either a more well-known artist or a higher charging artist. Maybe you've got a couple of covers that it costs a little bit more. I'm not really sure. Or maybe you're trying to get a big stock up of books. But it's hard to say. Matt Knowles just joined us and said, no need to continue. EgoRaven's been a win. And Gerald's with us saying, is this where the cool kids are hanging out? I hope so. I hope so.
Yes, it is.
All right. So
back to Thunderbeast.
Back to the Thunderbeast. Yes.
Back to the Thunderbeast, who has a very, impressive start.
Yes, already at 2,000 out of the $8,000 goal. That's a quarter of the way there already. Let's take a look and see what the video tells us.
Oh, wow.
It's beautiful art.
That is beautiful art.
All right. Well, certainly got the cool sound effects down.
Yeah, and loud. I'm okay. I don't want this to sound harsh, but it's going to. Nobody cares about the creative team. You could have spent that moment or slide on something else, telling us more. I like what I saw. I just don't know what I'm looking at. I'm hooked, but I would like a little bit more information. That opening scroll was too fast, and the slideshow is too slow. It needs to be sped up a little bit, but add some more substance to it. And this may be only because they have that many pages available. We don't know what the creative side of it looks like, and that may be all that's available to them right now. But the cover art looks great. The interiors, if that's the interiors, that is...
Yeah, it's beautiful art, yeah.
Beautiful art, but why are they going to heaven? Why are they busting this person out? I mean, if you love them, don't you want them happy? There are questions that I have that maybe you could have just set the tone for the book. I mean, I know a lot of people buy books based on art, and I'm as much of a guilty at that as anybody else, but I want a little bit more, just something more.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying there. And so maybe we can find a way to give some tips on what would make this appeal to the people who do want more. Gerald says, to be fair, Patrick has made this a 50-page book, which I did. That's a good thing. Like, I'm sure he's going to tell me that later on, but I don't know that yet. So that's good information. He's super detailed and worked tirelessly on making each page stand out. I agree. Each page is stand out. Now, one of the things that I have learned from years of being an artist in this industry is that, I dabble in inking, I dabble in coloring, but I don't call myself an inker, because I've seen professional inkers with a brush make a line all the way across the page without a single wobble and have it beautifully taper. And I'm like, that's some like pinstripe level shit right there. And I'm not going to be there unless that's all I do, you know? I've also seen colorists take work and take it from, you know, mediocre to just absolutely jumping off the page. And so I know that there are people out there that are going to enhance my work. When you start off, though, like you can't always hire those people. So you got to go with what you got. Right.
Yep.
And from looking at this from a graphic design point of view, like this big image here, I'm going to try to make this full screen and make this a little smaller.
That's a lot. That is busy.
That's
almost
you took it up exactly where I was going with this, right? It's like your eyes are so overwhelmed with all this detail that it's difficult to tell like what to focus on. And one of the things I have a great colorist named Chuck Obach who is really good at taking and creating focal points and depth by taking some of the characters and like taking the black line art and pushing it back with some coloring on the line art so that like say this purple guy or this green character stand out more and separate themselves a little bit. And so like some people like it. This is a preference thing probably, but from in terms of, you know, graphic design, you know, in a cover, in a panel layout, anything like that, there's a hierarchy. It's like, first thing I should see is the character, and then like, where does that lead me to? And then where does that lead me to? And sort of a flow of things. Here, it's like, my eyes want to look at everything at once, and it's kind of overwhelming, right?
It's a sensory overload because the only thing that jumps out immediately is the yellow because it clashes so hard with the other palettes.
Yeah, I really want to look like right here in the upper left where he's got this big thing behind him.
Yeah.
And so
there's nowhere to go after that. It's just
well, there's just too many places to go. So yeah, the thing is, each individual thing you're looking at is amazing art, detailed art. But it's kind of like I was also showing the same example to my students in my graphic design class and you've seen this. I know you've seen this. When you have a flyer for like a comic convention, especially the smaller ones, they want to put the name of the show, the time of the show, every single sponsor of the show, every single artist, every single cosplayer, every single celebrity, all on one flyer. And it looks like this madness of like, oh my God, I don't know where to look. And it's the same kind of concept of like, you know, if you showcase one and then you push the others back, then you know that this particular presentation is about this character and they're the one that's like the most important, you know, and you never really know sometimes. So yeah,
to be honest with you, I would love to have seen the pencils before the colorist got a hold of this.
Or the inks.
The pencils and the inks probably.
Well, because when I look at the inks on the inside, I love, and you're right that
see, it adds depth. The grayscale is on point.
There we go. I love how there's just these spot colors, like right here. Your eye goes right to the red, and then you see this character, and then you follow this stick down to the water, and then up and around to the spires of rock sticking out, and there's this really nice flow to this page.
I want this original art. I want to hang this thing in my living room. This thing is gorgeous. That is. I can't.
I'm really hoping that the interior stays like this and it's just spot colors. So yeah, to me, coloring is one of those things that, like I said, can change the look like a lot. And so I probably would have, tried to do a little bit to like create some forward and background and like push some things back on that last one. But man, this looks awesome. But you're right. In the end, we don't know a whole lot. We've showcased probably the most important thing, which is, hey, look at this amazing art.
Yep.
That's what hooked us, right? But for those people that are more interested in story, I think what really could have helped here, we got a great soundtrack too, is perhaps some vocal audio speaking about, in a world, something saying what this is about. Give me a little bit of information about what's going on, and I think that would have been an easy overlay. And
I think so. I didn't want to immediately go there because I feel like I'm saying that all the time just because of my background.
because you're a voice actor,
Being some voice actor, but I mean, audio goes a long way, and to just even that scroll in the beginning that went by so fast. Even if you had somebody read that and just slowed it down a little bit, I think that would have been a better hit. Explaining that it's 52 pages, holy shit! I mean, that should be like almost front and center, or if not, you close on that. Witness the 52 page awesomeness before you, or 52 pages of heaven, whatever you want to do. But that is a key selling point right there, and you're leaving it on the bench. Get it out there. So I'm just saying.
I agree with
you.
Just saying.
Just saying.
All right, so now we're going to jump down into the description section of this thing where it's going to tell us, hopefully, a little bit more about what this comic is about. It says, enter a magical realm far beyond this physical mortal dream, where all beings must one day sojourn alone past the yawning doorway called death. Between the glorious heavens of Nirvana and the frozen depths of Tartarus, there exists an illuminated astral planet. Okay.
You got my attention. I'm
all right. Very good.
I'm in.
Then in this green section, we have a word says Hiranyaloka. I can't see the word. Hiranyaloka. I don't know. I'm butchering it. It says, home to the very gods themselves, where dragons fly and demons eternally struggle to drag the light down into the darkness. One mortal man defies all cosmic law on his quest through both heaven and hell in search of the one he loved and lost. All right. So now he's questing through both heaven and hell, not just heaven.
Not just heaven. Okay.
Thunderbeast 509 heralds the return to comic creation for veteran artist-writer Patrick Blaine. In 2001, he joined the Top Cow studio to learn under the master tutelage of Mark Silvestri. Since then, he has illustrated comics Dark Horse Predator and Star Wars, DC Comics Cyborg, and The Darkness. He has a 31-year-long career as professional illustrator. I knew I recognized that name. Okay, so he's done posters, so on and so forth. This is the first time both writing and illustrating his own creator-owned book. Patrick considered this his magnum opus. He's been training his entire life to create. All right, so Thunderbeast 509 is coming. Okay. All right. This is still more about Patrick. All right, every page has been lovingly drawn in the highest detail. I see that. Yep. As the reader follows the path of a mystic who found his way to escape the drab world of morality. What bewildering sights will one see when crossing over to the mysterious astral realm while still living? All right. Dare to ride dragons, battle kaiju-sized demons, and struggle with the very gods themselves against the minions of hell. All right, so here we've got the information I have so far is you have this mortal character who's obviously, a profound fighter of some kind, and then he has lost his love, and he's battling through all these beasts to get there, to go get her back. And so we have a story, we have a premise, and we have lots of cool monsters. And obviously some amazing art.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most of these covers are still his too. So I'm wondering, this is interesting to me because in this particular case, Patrick Blaine is the writer and the artist. So in my case, when I, started my book series, I didn't pay myself. I didn't pay like a per page rate to myself. I just like made the pages and then raised the money to make the book,
Right.
So it kind of makes me wonder, is like, am I raising this money to pay myself as well as make the book? Because what did we say? It was like $8,000.
8,000. That's again very lofty.
Yeah. So when you take someone who's got like that much experience, their page rate is probably, pretty high. So maybe he is paying himself. I don't know. But certainly a well-crafted book. I think the book itself is awesome. One thing that I missed, every page is where it said it had 52 pages or 50 pages. Oh my gosh. This says this is determined to tell this finite story in 30 issues across 2 major arcs. Already plotted out in full detail. Issue 1 contains 50 pages of storytelling, and its production is already over 2/3 finished. Here's a preview of some of those pages. Now, I'll say this, I made this mistake myself. I've given this advice to people as I've learned it, and that is that, when you're starting off with your own indie comic stuff, don't jump right into the mega epic story, because it's hard to keep going, all that stuff. Now, that being said, this is not a person who's new to this. They've got a lot of experience with pages and cranking stuff out and getting work done, and so they might have a better chance of getting that stuff. But Benjamin says that's too many issues, right? I don't know that it's too many issues. It's just hard to pitch that many issues, right? If you've got a 30 issue story arc, and go, this is a conversation I've actually had with publishers, right? Make this full screen in case my AI wants to use this as a clip. So if you've got a 30-page story arc and you go to a publisher and you're like, hey, I've got a 30-page story arc I want you to pick up, they're going to probably shake their head and be very unlikely to pick it up, because especially if you're new, they aren't going to know whether or not you're going to complete this issue. They got to convince all of their fans or their buyers that this is going to be going on. Instead, if you have a story arc that's really big, like Mythica is, but you break it down into 5 or 6 issue chunks, and you're like, I want to pitch you Mythica Darkness Rising, which is a 6-issue story arc, and it's basically, a whole encompassed story. And you leave out the part that this is only chapter 1 of a big arc, but you just say, hey, this is a complete story from beginning to end, 6 issues there, and you leave it with some cliffhanger, then that's a lot more marketable, pitchable, and tangible for people to say, okay, I can hang around and see what happens. And then they're hooked and they want more,
Well, and if he's that far along in the process, is the lofty goal to help him continue working and close out? And what does the bigger picture look like? So if this doesn't fund, then what? And if it does fund, are you going to be able to turn around and flip another book out? Because that is at 12 months. That's only 12 issues. You said 30 issues. So that's 3 years, roughly.
Well, and as Benjamin said, if you're putting out an issue every 3 months, which is still pretty lofty considered he is the sole creator, he's doing all the work, that's 8 years to finish.
Yes, that is a lot of work for one person.
Right? And so that's tough. It's tough.
It's ambitious.
So yeah, honestly, I think, if you're writing a script that's that long, there should be a place where you have because almost every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so you should be able to break that up of even into thirds, say, okay, the first 10 issues constitute the beginning and introducing the problem. And then there's a big battle, and the character usually loses in that first act.
Yep,
that can all fit into one book. And then in the second book, they end up, learning a little bit, gaining some ground, and leading up to a second finale. And you break it up into a couple of smaller books. Because that's a lot. He did say it was going to be 2, but I mean, here's the thing. I don't know this guy's output. I know his. I know he's got a lot of experience and work. So maybe he can crank them out once a month. I don't know.
But then I see. I keep coming up with more questions now because, like, why isn't he pitching this to Top Cow? Why isn't he over at Image right now pitching this? Because it is Image caliber. I mean, this could easily fit into
absolutely
their Ghost Machine platform that they've been diligently working on, and I could honestly see this fitting in there with Geiger or Redcoat or whatever story arcs that they've got going on. So I'm scratching my head with more questions. I want to read this, but I don't want to start picking it apart because I'm like, wait a second, there's a lot of gaps here, and I want to see this thing hit the shelf.
Well, I think like it's an absolute beast mode of a project. Like the artwork is stellar. The story seems like massive, and that's just a lot for one person to undertake. And maybe he's just saying, I'm going to get this on Kickstarter, get some backing, and still pitch it to one of these people and do both.
So I would like to see this on the mainstream.
I'd love to see this mainstream. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, this is some top quality looking stuff. So I feel like I want this to succeed. That's for sure. So yeah, again, what we're trying to do here is find ways to make it even better. I feel like going back to the video, telling us a little bit of that information down below with some overlay, not necessarily text that we have to read, but some vocal overlay makes it a little bit easier to process, because we can look at images while listening to some words. But if we have to read words, we're not being able to look at all that awesome artwork.
And yeah, exactly. I think adding text is just going to take away from the art. Give me a little vocal range, give that music a drop, maybe 4 or 5 levels, and give it a nice bed, and then kick up with a nice big crescendo, and welcome to heaven. 52 pages of excellence. There we go.
You know what else is crazy? You know what else is crazy? I was just doing some little math in my head. He's only got 12 backers so far. And yet he's raised $2,143. So that's an average of like $178 per person. Yeah. Or somebody has dropped in like a big old chunk right from the get-go and to help him kick it off. But
I mean, obviously he's connected. If he worked with Silvestri, that means he's worked with a lot of greats, legends, let's say. So I wouldn't be surprised. Legends. I wouldn't be surprised that they, kind of raised an eyebrow and go, you know what, I'm in on this. So
yeah. I would hope anyway.
I would hope.
I hope after all those years of working for all those people, you got a lot of friends in the industry, and this should be an easy launch.
Yep.
I hope. Fingers crossed. So what did you guys think of that campaign? It's beautiful. I love the art. I feel like some polishing on the marketing could be done, but all in all, this is a really, really intriguing pitch, and I want to see more.
Yep, it's impressive. Next up, we've got EgoRaven.
That's right.
EgoRaven makes the win.
Now, yeah, that's right. Now, I know from seeing this person on Kickstarter all the time that this is a person who has, again, kind of like Dirk, really mastered the Kickstarter formula and has gotten a consistent following and backing just time after time after time after time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're doing in this campaign. So let's switch over to this one. Share screen. Let's go with this one right here. All right, here it is. EgoRaven, heir of the first unicorn, mature fantasy drama. That's bound to get you a couple extra likes, just right putting that mature word in there.
Yes.
All right. EgoRaven survives the trial of the tower and becomes a knight, but new treachery follows as she makes her way to reclaim her kingdom. All right, their goal is 1,000. They're at 3,213 with 113 backers and 13 days to go. So crushing it already with 13 days to go. All right, let's take a look. All right, what did you think of that pitch? This is something you've never seen before.
Nope.
At all. All right, so you're being introduced to this for the first time.
Yep.
What'd you get from it?
Not a lot.
Uh-oh.
I like the artwork. It's hard to draw horses, and I'm going to say excellent job on drawing a horse. I know how difficult, and that's like one of the things artists say. It's really hard to draw a horse, and I did like that point, and I like the art, I like the color, but the text, you can't read it. There's too much of a contrast between the art and the colors behind the transparent text, and it's difficult to read. So while I'm trying to absorb the art and extrapolate what's going on, which someone gets knighted, I see that, but I'm distracted by trying to read.
I'm sorry. Travis made a comment. It's hard to draw horse.
Horse, yes, it's difficult to draw. You know, the positions that they get into.
Thank you, Travis. Oh man.
So I don't know. I don't like the text. I don't like the text over it. I can't read it. It's too hard.
Reading's hard.
Reading is hard, and it's also very quick. So trying to like focus on the words and the art, it's a conflict. Too much of a conflict.
All right. So what do you think? How do you think that could have been improved then?
I still think, again, I'm not trying to sell my services, but I still think that if it was on the bottom is like a ticker, and then someone reading it as the vocals, or doing something, or adding some inflection to it, building the intensity of the art that's going on as it flashes through, I think would actually enhance the presentation. If you had the right voice, low and slow, and just builds that up, and you don't need all that text, do you? I think you could have gotten away with something smaller and much more hitting, hard hitting.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. I think that we looked at that the last two videos, and so I think it's something that it probably comes up a lot. We repeat it, but it obviously is because that it's going to benefit and make it better. And so if you go, what are some places that where people can go besides yourself? Obviously, Smurf is available for voiceover, but besides that, like if you're a creator and you're like, I need to go find some voice actors that are not going to break my bank, like where would you suggest they go?
I mean, I almost will guarantee that you probably have a friend in the industry that could just do the voiceover. Find someone who has a good voice. And start asking your friends, would you be comfortable reading this for me? Just ask for a sample
Mhm.
read. Or, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to go like full on agency, absolutely you could do that. Or I would also reach out to the colleges. Everyone is always looking, especially if they're just coming out. They know the basics. They can lay down some tracks for you. They wouldn't break the bank. They would get
Mhm.
something if they're real. It's that is the end result. When they get done with school, they've got nowhere to go. It's a hard world out there for voice actors. So
Yeah.
if you know someone, I mean, you could. There's two different voices for that trailer right there. You could go with elegant, a female, nice melodious voice, or something a little more intense, like like Man at Arms style. We come, we've
Mhm.
conquered, they've been knighted, and now, So there's
Yeah,
two
yeah,
ways of reading that. So I would ask for samples from friends first, and then go from there.
yeah. That's good advice. That's a good tip. I mean, so for those of you out there making videos, that ability to hear what is being said, and then still you can have the subtitles at the bottom. In making YouTube videos or shorts, we've learned that having both is super helpful because some people will watch videos with the audio off. Especially my students when they're sitting in class in the back of the room, they're like trying to watch stuff with the text. So having the subtitles on is still good, but having just the subtitles, especially when you're also showing pans of art, our brain's like, well, which one? I want to look at the art and I feel anxious because I'm missing the art if I have to sit there and read it as well. So having the voiceover telling us what's happening, especially can ease that, let me enjoy the art, but also set the tone. If you got a right voice, it can really kind of enhance the feeling and the vibe of the whole entire book. So that's something, even though Daphne does an absolute banger job of getting campaigns, crushing it one after another, very organized. Maybe that's a way that can be taken to the next level, right? Let's go on and see what else this tells us. One thing I can point out right out the gate is over here on the left, you'll see all these things broken down so that you can click on any one of these and jump to it. So if you already know who EgoRaven is, you can skip this first section and jump right to some other section. That's super helpful and easy to do on these Kickstarter campaigns. It's built in, so be sure and take advantage of that. And Daphne's doing a great job breaking that down, even with little icons, which is also super helpful. But since we don't know, let's read this first part. It says, who is EgoRaven? What if instead of a knight saving the princess from dragons, the princess had to become a knight to save herself and her kingdom? I created this comic series after years of binge watching shows like She-Ra, Icer One, and Violet Evergarden, as well as reading comics like Elf Quest. Love Elf Quest. Movies like The Last Unicorn and Lord of the Rings. If you enjoy escaping into epic fantasy stories of characters not afraid to be afraid and vulnerable in the face of dire adversity and come out the other side, then pledge EgoRaven, heir of the first unicorn. The adventure of a unicorn princess exiled into a mortal realm after she is betrayed by her elf prince husband-to-be, and dragons overtake her kingdom. But when EgoRaven becomes an unwitting pawn in a noblewoman's attempt to avoid an arranged marriage, she trains to become a knight with the help of an unlikely trio of blacksmiths, hoping she can ultimately win a king's favor and save her people. I really love that description. It really spells out like what this character's journey is going to be. I feel like a lot of people are afraid to share the journey of your main character in that's some sort of
secret, or don't take my idea,
or what I'm looking for, giving away something important there, but it's not. It's just the journey that they're going on. There's still a lot for us to learn about what that looks like and how that's going to play out, right? I feel like explaining that really, because now I can relate to this. I'm invested in this. I know what's going on. I could feel like how difficult it must be to be this character, have to train to be a knight, go, get their loved one back. It all is something I can relate to.
See, and if we had someone that was voicing that over the beautiful art and the pages in that slide, and you could cut up that pitch to coincide with what you're doing for, I think that would be a huge hit.
Right.
For sure.
Follow the adventure of a unicorn princess exiled into the mortal realm after she's betrayed by her elf prince husband-to-be.
Boom! Punch to the gut. Let's go. And then
let's go.
I mean, that is beautiful writing. It sets the tone so perfectly. I can't applaud you enough for that. That's perfect, bitch.
So there's also a free 16-page sampler of the first issue that you can download right here in the description section, which is awesome. Lowell says, I've seen some things, man, like a chicken combo sandwich.
Seen some things.
Chicken combo sandwich during Lent. This series is recommended for mature readers for fantasy violence and adult situations.
Ooh, boobies.
Oh, you mean like raising children or paying taxes?
Grocery shopping.
Oh, this is great. Let me scroll down a little bit to see what else we got here. We got some interior sample pages again with the horse drawing. This looks like if you like anthropomorphic, there looks like there's lots of that going on in here. There's a little sticker covering things up. Must be something revealed.
Yeah.
Looks like we got a cool looking cover here. Also available in this campaign is a beautiful soft cover trade paperback of the illustrated prose prequel. So that's awesome. There's PDFs, there's physical copies, there's all kinds of stuff. The PDF is $7. I forgot to see. I haven't seen how many pages it is, so I'm assuming somewhere around the 24 range. But I missed that. But there's all kinds of stretch goals. They got the Pink Unicorn Club postcard, all kinds of stuff. Let's look down there to see what kind of tiers we've got. Because, again, this is a person who's got a nice following. They've created over 20 campaigns and continue to do well. And so how can we make them do even better? Right. We talked about having a voiceover that might help things. Looking at the campaigns, there's a PDF tier and this is issue 10, mind you. But it was presented in a very clear way. Like, this issue does this, and I didn't even care or notice that it was issue 10.
Nope.
There's a set of all of them, every single PDF of everything so far in the story for $70. That includes the trade paperback, the PDFs of all of the issues. That's pretty nice. Then there's a variant cover set, so you get every single variant for $90. Then there's a catch-up physical set for $100, where you get all the past books and the current books, and then that's it, right? So there's only about 5 tiers total.
No big whale tier, no original art, no
nothing that I've seen.
Huh. Okay.
There are a lot of catch-up sets, which is always great, especially with you're at issue 10. That's awesome. But yeah, I feel like and then there's a lot of stretch goals, like these stickers and things like that. But I do feel like you could benefit from a couple extra tiers. Not necessarily. I love that they're not doing like, a ton of different tiers for like each individual uh
Cover.
alternate cover.
Yeah.
I've seen some campaigns where there's just like 20 covers and each one's an individual, reward, and it's hard to keep up with everything. But this is more about catching up and getting all the different issues, which is great. So perhaps you could have a tier where someone's drawn into the next upcoming book. Perhaps you could have a tier where someone gets the original art of maybe a cover or something else. There's a lot of creative ways to have those big whale tiers, like like the one we saw a while back, where you could invite someone to sit at your table with you at a show, be your +1 at a show, because we always get 2 seats, and pay them to be there essentially, or they're paying to be there.
I sign on for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. So yeah, perhaps a whale tier could knock you up into the stratosphere of like $5,000.
Well, I mean, it's obvious she's got the following. We're at issue 10, and I think there's more of a value of the ketchup packages than variant covers.
Than the mustard packages?
Yeah, the ketchup packages are way better because all those Dijon mustards just get in the way. Never frown on a Dijon ketchup, ever. But I think there's more value to that than anything else. I mean, at this point, I think the story is already set. I think being drawn in, unless you're on the cover, I think is also I wouldn't say a waste, but I don't think anyone is going to get on with that. But the original art, because you have 10 issues, so that is a lot of art. So I would start going back to like issue 1 and 2. And make a whale tier of original art from the first couple of issues. See the background, see the building of a knight. Something like that. The Squire package. What do I get for $500? You get the Squire package and original art and all of these other cool little things. This is perfect though. It's low impact for financial gain. You get stickers, you get all that other stuff, which is cool. Everybody wants that. And it's not a lot of financial obligation on the back end of it. And it doesn't cost anything to ship that stuff. It's still light. So,
yeah.
But that's what I would do. I think that would bounce the campaign up quickly, very quickly.
Yeah. I think some sort of whale tier, but yeah, I think that all in all, that's a really nice campaign. We talked about having maybe a little bit of voiceover, and the video to help us show what's going on. We said the same thing about Thunderbeast, right. And then maybe a couple of tiers that are going to launch it up into the stratosphere with some whale tiers.
Yeah, I'd get that text off of the art though. Put it down at the bottom, like a footnote or something, because it's too distracting. Don't cover up the art. Sell the art. Put the text down at the bottom, even if you don't do a voiceover. Just put that down.
Yep. All right, that brings us to our third and final entry. Before we go there, though, be sure, and if you're not already, follow and subscribe to the channel at Matt Campbell Art on YouTube. If you're following us on Facebook, be sure and like and share this out, let other people see it, especially in the comic book groups, because there's a lot of indie comic creators in those groups that we want to reach out to and help make their campaigns even better. Also, if you're interested in seeing my book and my creations, Mythica, you can get that at actionlandstudios.com. And you can also get up-to-date news about all things geeky at 5280geek.com. Podcasts everywhere podcasts are. So let's look at Purity number 3. I see boobies.
Boobies! Save the boobies!
We are today's show is sponsored by Boobies. We get $1 for every time we say it.
Yay!
All right, Purity number 3, The Hunt. this is a little confusing. Purity, number 3, The Hunt, part 2. Purity discovers what her sister's been up to all these years while still unaware of the bounty over her own head.
Mm.
All right. It says their goal is $5,000. That's kind of the average thing we talked about for most campaigns that are paying for an artist to do the work. They're at 1877, so almost what is that? 40% almost. They got 50. They have 15 days to go, and they have 86 backers. That's a nice number as well. There is no video. So, what do we know so far?
Just the pitch. She's got a price on her head. Okay, and we see boobies. So you're appealing to like the scroll demons. So they're gonna land
scroll
on it.
demons.
The scroll demons are gonna be like, okay, let's go see if there's more boobies.
The scroll troll. All right, let's go find out. Let's go find out what this is going to give us. All right, so first of all, you guys see this big blank area over here on the left? That means that they're not utilizing the thing we just saw on Daphne's page where it breaks down, lets people jump ahead. This is issue 3, I think it said. And so if I'm already, got 1 and 2, I don't need to read this part about, the story. I want to jump right down to the what's in this campaign. And so having that stuff on the left, that's going to help us do that. So utilize that, take advantage of that. It's free and built in. In here, it says Sky Maiden Studios presents our heroic Hellion returns in purity. The Hunt, part 1. This has got a very Lady Death kind of vibe going on.
Salaciousness, I like it.
Yes. Purity, The Hunt, part 2 is the 3rd issue of an ongoing fantasy bad girl comic series. If you're a fan of titles such as Lady Death, Evangeline, or Witchblade, then you've come to the right place. It's almost 2 on the nose there. This is mature rated content. I'm Nick. I'm the president of Sky Maiden Studios. I'm the creator, writer, penciler, and colorist of Purity. That's a lot. Okay, again, this is twice in the same show we've encountered this. The person making the book is the creator and the artist, but yet the campaign is like in the thousands. Yep. And so maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe my first several books I should have been charging for all my work, but I didn't pay myself for like the first several issues because I was just like, I want to get this book out there. So we'll see.
I asked at the beginning, where do you draw the line? Do you want the book out there in people's hands? Are you willing to sacrifice for the art? And you got to keep the lights on. I get that, but at the same point, let's be reasonable.
All right, question of the day for those of you guys that are creators and artists of your own books. Are you charging in your campaign to pay for yourself? Right? Are you charging to pay for yourself, or are you just charging to like pay for everything else, and you're kind of putting in free labor just to get the book out there and maybe pay yourself back later? Because the way I approached it was, if I can get the book out there, then the profits from selling the book I will pay myself from, and that kind of stuff. But I had a better chance of succeeding because I think my first several campaigns were like $3,000, $3,500, something like that. So that I'd be sure to hit goal. And I ended up exceeding it by enough to pay myself anyway, So there's that too. So what about you guys? If you see this now or you see it later on when you're watching this video, what do you do? Do you charge enough to pay yourself right out of the gate, or do you just eat it? Just eat it.
Just eat it. Come on.
All right. So we got some introduction. We just got some talk from Nick about what he's doing and why he's doing it, and the people he's worked for. Jumping down here to this section, it says It's a 24-page comic containing 21 pages of plot, new faces, and world building, and most importantly, badasseries. So what's the other 3 pages?
Art?
Maybe. Each issue, we strive to better our product while incorporating new ideas into our creative stages. Please get to more information about the page. With your industry support, we simply need to recover production, printing costs, shipping, and handling. You are the production costs. All right. Then we got a previously on Purity section. Then we got meet the creative team. So we got previously on Purity, but not what this Purity is about.
Or catch up. I like that.
So honestly, I don't see anything in particular about what this issue is about. I see, unless there's, I mean, this is going on down the list. This is another reason why you want those jump points on the left. So I can kind of see how much farther this goes just by looking at those jump points. There's a lot of cool covers from a lot of cool artists. I'll say that they look great. This is the interior art. So I agree with, let's look at the comment section here. First of all, BMD, aka Benjamin, says need more interior pictures earlier on. Yeah, I want to see at least if we're not seeing what's going on in the story, then let me see the story earlier on, right? We mentioned this before. Well, this falls under the don't bury the lead category, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But I mean, honestly, go ahead.
Because as much as I love his bio, that needs to be further down. I'm sorry. And
well, that's what I was going to say.
And then I don't want to upset people. I don't want to ruffle feathers, but nobody gives a shit who you are. Let your artwork and your story speak for itself, all right? Put your faith in your work. Put that out there. Let that highlight and spotlight. Maybe down at the end, I don't want to like just, say no one cares, but they want this. I want a story. I want art. This is too far down. I mean, the scroll demons may or may not go down there because, they may have lost interest. They may be bored. You may have lost them when you started, going over your bio. It's important. Yes, we want to know where you're from. But what we're here now, this moment is for the art, for this story. And we don't have it. And I would put all of the creative and where we've been and all that way, way up further. You should not lead with yourself. Lead with your art.
Or the creative team, we got a quick recap of so we went from up here, we got Sky Maiden Studios Presents. So I've seen this in videos sometimes too, where people will be like, Action Line Studios Presents. Well, no one knows who that studio is. That's a movie thing that people do in movies. Because they're trying to get their name out there, but in comics, it's just another publishing company. It's not why I'm buying the comic, and so that doesn't need to be there. We're just jump right into what is this comic? Well, it's Purity number 2. What's it about? And get to that point, and then get to maybe some backstory of what the previous issues were about. And then you can get into the creative team and all that other stuff. Definitely want to get that artwork up there right away because this artwork looks great, as Lowell said. Yep. But we want to see that a little bit earlier. Nick.
Even leading with the previously on Purity. I mean, that would be great. Previously, this much, a small little dash. And then now, on Purity, boom, here's the story, here's the artwork, and you sell that because I'm sure you're going to want to do a PDF of the previous issues. Of course you do. Because the previously on Purity. Take that away. I know the branding is important, and I know you want to get that out there, but it's not crucial to the sell right now. Maybe later down in your bio, I'm the president, founder and runner of the press. But Stan Lee only sells comics because Stan Lee is dead. No, I'm just kidding. Stan Lee, you're not Stan Lee. I'm sorry, you're not. But one day you could be.
Yeah.
And you can look back, and this is where I started from. But there's just you're missing the opportunity of setting a wonderful stage because that artwork is great, and it's too far down. It really is.
Yep. So in the end, we didn't have a video that told us anything about what this particular issue is about, or even what the whole story is about. Then we get into the description section, and it was a lot more about the creator than the story itself. I didn't actually get into reading a whole lot of the previous end because I was still wanting to know what this issue was about. What am I going to get? That last campaign, the EgoRaven did a fantastic job of doing just that, just getting into like, what's this character's journey, this issue, what are they trying to achieve, and getting into that. And so, Nick, if you're listening, put some of that stuff in there. It's not going to give away anything. It's not going to keep people from buying it. It's going to bring them in. It's going to make them more interested. And put it up at the top.
Yeah, put it up
at the top where they can see it right away.
Because that's just like a bunch of empty space up there. It just is distracting. Give me something tangible. Come on.
Before we look at the reward level tiers and then close up for choosing which one we're going to go with, I want to touch on Dan Barlow made a comment that said, "I don't pay for myself. I just want the book out there. Plus, I have a day job that pays for things." I think that's, a lot of people. Eventually, it would be great if my comic did enough that it would pay for me and my creative team and everything. And that's obviously the goal, but you can get there like with some momentum over time. Mm-hmm. Jumping out of the gate with, I want $8,000 to make my own book. That's a lot. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but.
It's not impossible, and there is a process to this, and everyone's kind of. I mean, the process is in place for a reason because it works, and it builds your credentials, it builds everything out, and as you bring more people in, the more opportunity lies ahead.
All right, over in the rewards section, there's a number 3 digital PDF for $5. That's respectable. We've got a 1 through 3 digital catch-up for $10, which is a discounted deal. That's a good one. There's quite a few people on that one. Mm-hmm. There is a black and white digital PDF, cool. Which is interesting. It's $5 more for the black and white. Maybe, I don't know. Then there's a digital print bundle that includes the 1 through 3 and an anime print and the digital black and white PDF. So that's also a good deal. The covers, physical covers, $15, $15, $15, $15. That's I like to see that. They're all the same unless there's like a reason for them being more expensive, like they're limited. Metal covers. Then there's a sketch cover. It says $30 physical copy as well as the sketch cover. So you get 2 books. And you also get the digital PDF. So that's a good deal. You can pick your covers with mix and match bundles. You can get the entire cover run for $100, which based on how many there are, I think that's probably a good deal. You can get a digital commission tier. So this is an interesting one. I've seen commissions before. I don't think I've ever seen a digital commission. An extra layer of personalization to reward each backer of this tier will receive a 9x12 black and white digital sketch by Nick Capone. Plus, you get a digital PDF, a copy of the book, and the commission, $200. There's also a traditional commission tier for $300. And we're still climbing. Our whale tier is at $500, which is a cover commission tier. Are you a comic creator or publisher in need of a cover for your book? You've reached the right tier. You get this for $500 plus the books. And then there's a $400 one here too, with an 11x17 commission. So no one's jumped on board with those yet, but they are they're nice to have in there because somebody might, and that can jump your campaign up quickly. That's that whale tier we talked about.
Sure. Got to scratch the ticket to win. Put it out there.
That's all right. All right, guys, that brings us towards the end of our show. We have to choose one because there can be only one. Which one would you back? We've got Thunderbeast, beautiful artwork, a little light on the details, but beautifully done. We got EgoRaven, a long running comic book series with a track record and very descriptive about what's going on. And then we have Purity, a mature rated book that I feel like we need a little bit more information about. So which one is it going to be for you guys? I'm writing down my choice right now. It's tough because part of me is wanting to choose based on my likes and the thing, the kind of work that I like.
Right.
And the other part of me is trying to stick to my guns with the show and say, which one of these was the best presented campaign?
And that's where I'm going with my
Me
choice.
too. Me too. So, are you ready, sir?
Yes.
1, 2. We got it the same. Congratulations, Daphne. Once again, yours has prevailed. Some people knew this was going to be the case, apparently. They saw the future.
And I mean, I can't throw any shade on Thunderbeast. It's great, but it wasn't like a complete campaign. Daphne did do the better presentation, and I just like the overall package. I would honestly, the best compliment I can ever give anybody, I would pick Thunderbeast up off the shelf. I would pick that up. So no shade thrown. It was a hard decision. Trust me. I like you, my likes. And again, I want that original art to hang in my living room. That thing is glorious. Oh my god.
Yeah, same. I would say the exact same thing. I saw that art. That drew me in. That's my thing. I love detailed black and white line art. I was really drawn to that. But in the end, in the spirit of this show, I had to go with EgoRaven had a better presentation. Dan Barlow says EgoRaven as well. Benjamin says, campaign-wise, I'd go EgoRaven, but I'd personally want to read Purity.
I'm curious about Purity. I just, there's a lot of holes and not utilizing the tools at your disposal.
I'm no longer curious about Purity. I don't remember Purity. It's been way too long.
Just gone.
It's just gone. All right, guys. Thanks all for joining us today. We had another great show. Be sure and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already at YouTube, check out the work at Action Line Studios. Make sure and get your All Things Geeky podcast. Be sure and subscribe over at 5280 Geek. And with that, Smurf, do you want to see us out?
Be sure to see us this weekend, Vault 35, if you're local, for Free Comic Book Day. Come say hi to Matt. Come get a picture with your local Ghostbusters. Because on that bombshell, we shall end. Run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind. Good night.